Hi, today I'm answering a question on Wisdom Hour about excessive sweating. This person says that they suffer from excessive sweating and they're wondering if it could have an emotional component and are there any practical things they can do to help support their body. He or she, I'm just reading here, says, I wear natural deodorants that don't help much with the sweating, although they're a lot healthier for my body. So they're looking for some guidance about what's going on here, I suppose, and how they can manage it as well. So we'll see what we get for them. Okay, so give me a yes, give me a no. They're happy for me to come in. We want to work with a goal to know why I sweat so much. Okay, this goal is positive, active, clear, energetic, and we want to work with one. Tap in touch with house, clicks, clap, sound like smell. Smell your gotten. Oh, as in forgotten? No. Smell your gotten hands, clothes, what? Smell your gotten presents, it says. Smell your gotten presents in your hands. So just take your hands and smell them, okay? How does this smell and how does this remind you of how you feel inside at the moment? When your body decides to sweat and let go of certain fluids, it does so with a purpose, and the purpose is always to do with getting your body back to homeostasis, homeostasis, which means that the body is always seeking to balance itself in terms of temperature and in terms of what is it? In terms of FON. Does that stand for something? In terms of fond. In terms of fond memories and also gruesome ones. In other words, when our body sweats, it is because it is either reacting to something which is making the body heat up, or it is reacting to something that is in your memory. And when it is something in the memory, it isn't necessarily remembered by you consciously. So we can be carrying a lot of memories in our subconscious because the subconscious doesn't forget anything at all. And this is why it fondly remembers some things and enters into these memories easily through triggers that we are not aware of. This ability to trigger an old memory in the subconscious won't always be a bad thing. In fact, sometimes when we trigger a fond memory, it gets us to relax more and to enjoy a situation even more. But at the time, we think we are just enjoying what is going on now. But it may be triggering a very early memory of childhood where we felt really safe and protected and didn't have much to worry about. So in the same way, we can have other memories triggered that aren't so pleasant. And when these find their way into our body systems, they can create disruption on the is it emotive, something like that? No, on the and the energetic level, which then can heat the body or cool it depending on how the trigger is working in the physical system. When there is excessive sweating, the best thing to do is to look at how often this happens and check whether you have done or eaten or gotten into a certain state prior to the sweating. Check this first, maybe keep a little diary for 3 weeks and notice when it comes on. You may start to see a pattern. For example, every time I eat chili, I start to sweat excessively. Or every time I get practically what? Every time I get practically no, what is it? What is it? Stands for something. LOE. Can anyone think of what it might be? Get practically LOE. Lost. Loved. Learning. No. L. Can we have some help, please? Can we have a translation? Practically. Lost. Practically lost on everything. So when we feel practically lost on, or it says on everything, which is interesting, not lost in everything. So I always am interested in the language because it gives us a kind of a clue, because you'd normally say lost in everything, isn't it? That's why it didn't give us those words. Lost on everything. This means that when you get this feeling of being lost and you don't know what to do next because you are becoming separated from yourself and looking on instead of being in the situation. Oh, that's interesting. So you're separating from yourself and you're kind of looking at it and going, oh, I can't deal with this. I don't know what to do. Yeah? Okay. This distinction is important. Why? Because when you separate from yourself, you won't solve these problems, and your body won't pull you back into your center because it can't, but it starts to signal to you through sweating that something is wrong here. And so you need to enter yourself again. That means don't separate from yourself, and this is something you do quite often without realizing. You have a habit of placing yourself outside of your physical body. And when you do this, you feel safer because you did this as a child to protect yourself from trauma. But as an adult, you need to remind yourself that having lots of decisions or grown-up things to do doesn't mean that it has to be any kind of trauma. Instead, you would do better to talk to someone about this and get some help. And this will bring you back into your body about it. Anything else? When you excessively sweat, there is always a cause. And when it is a nervous system cause, as it often can be, you will know by your diary, by seeing any pattern of things that have happened or a pattern in the way you've reacted to things that have happened. By this, we don't mean the sweating, but how you responded to the situation by either withdrawing or moving out of your body or by ignoring what needs to be acted on, etc. Your body enters a state which tries to get you to listen to it. And in your case, you really do notice the sweating, so it has chosen a good way of getting your attention. When you really listen to this in terms of what has happened before it started and how did I react and did I avoid something, or am I still floating around in midair instead of being grounded in my body and being practical about what I need to do, and so on. To ground yourself, you can do simple things like placing your feet firmly on the ground and feeling your feet on the ground. And then breathing into your lungs very slowly so that you can feel the air entering the nose and down the back of the throat and into the lungs, and you can feel your stomach extend as you fill your lungs. This is the way to re-enter your body when you have been detached from it energetically. This happens more than many people realize, and it can be a real problem when we are not used to noticing when we slip out of our body. You might say, how can we possibly be outside of our body and still be carrying on driving and doing the dishes and what have you? But the truth is you can, because our wonderful subconscious mind keeps the body functioning and moving and doing what you need to do. But while it does that, the entity that has free will, etc., can actually separate from all of that and get into a world of your own. We have all done this, and an easy way to notice this and know it is true is when we've been driving and we get to a destination and we realize we've been thinking about something else for a very long time and barely took in anything about the drive. It was like it was done on remote control. And this is very common. When we separate from our bodies in an energetic sense, we have usually learned how to do that from childhood, when we were under threat or had some sort of trauma, and to survive we felt the need to leave our bodies so that we could bear what was going on. You can imagine it as being a sort of shock type experience. And for those of you who have been in shock before, you may or may not remember what that's like. Here we definitely separate from a great psychological burden or physical burden that has happened suddenly. And this is an inbuilt protection in our wonderful bodies that allows us to continue to function in a way that will keep us what? Putting one foot in front of the other when we need to. Anything else? When your body is sweating, it is letting go of hormones that are often out of balance. And It is a way of releasing any toxic something. Great trauma. When we can understand that our bodies practically always seek to remain in a state of status, I'm not sure about this, stasis it says, which is keeping the body at a correct temperature and so on, then we can understand that any disruption to this will cause either perspiration or shivering. Shivering being the opposite way of generating heat for our organs and so on. The point is, your body knows what it's doing, but you need to be a detective and work out the connections to why your body is choosing to do this. When we hear that hormonal women sweat a lot, or women going through menopause, we would like to say that these sweats get the person, or woman in this case, to notice that something is out of balance. And that may be their way of engaging with moving into the next phase of their life, or it may be that their hormones are indeed fluctuating, going up and down, and this will bring on sweating. In cases like these, where the hormones are sort of swinging, you can go to a health shop and get supplements to help you to stabilize your hormones. Should I say about that? Yeah, just one that I know of that is black cohosh is one I've heard of. I'm sure there are others, but that would be the one that comes to mind just out of the blue that you could ask about. I know a lot of women take that and find that that's good at stabilise, especially if you're perimenopausal, and that's when they tend to swing a lot. Okay, anything else? In general, we don't give out advice here about taking things, because when you decide to ingest something, you should make sure that you have got the correct advice about it. And so we say, talk to the people who know about the supplements. Full stop. Yeah, so you should do that, okay? Don't just go willy-nilly taking stuff, and just in case it's going to react with something else, or in other words, yeah, we have to be responsible about that, right? So I'll rewind and say, don't just go and get black cohosh, just but maybe talk to people that know stuff in the health food shop, and or find somebody who knows about these things, and get some proper advice from people who know about these supplements. Okay? Anything else? Finishing? Okay, so we're going to finish there. Need to say anything else about it? No, it says that's about it really. So I hope that gives you some clues. And for anybody else, because I know this is a very common problem for many people, and not just women too. Like, I know I've had guys come to me who really worry because they get really sweaty hands, and I have to say, in the circumstance of those particular guys, it was like an old fear that was being triggered in them. One in particular was a childhood fear. The other one was to do with his situation at work that was really getting to him. So, yeah. So not to say that it's always going to be the case, of course, but it did prove to be that in that case. In those two cases, actually, they were fear-based. So good luck with it. And once again, if you really think it's really extreme, sometimes it's no harm just, getting a few tests from the doctors too, just to make sure there's nothing weird going on, with your organs and things, just to make sure. It's always good to know there's nothing really wrong with me, that's always a good thing to do as well. The more information we get, the better, if we're trying to solve something. That's the intelligent thing to do. Okay, so thank you for sending in your question, whoever did, and good luck with it. And do feel free to PM me if you get anything from that. Okay, take care, guys. Bye.